Hi, I'm Colby,
And I'm Daniel.
and today we want to talk about The Housemaid. It's Kim Ki-young's 1960 classic South Korean thriller.
If you've seen Psycho and or Parasite and you like them, you will love this movie.
Yeah.
It's very similar to Psycho in that it's an old-fashioned thriller, so it's kind of this bit of a slower pacing of the
Mm-hmm.
story and similar ways that the camera moves around. It's limited by its old technology, but for that technology, absolutely beautiful and gorgeous. I mean, the lines are crisp and clean. It also has this really excellent '60s fashion that I really wasn't
Yeah.
expecting that to be like a fashion icon movie, but yeah, people are really it's really like a time capsule back
Yeah.
into 1960s South Korea, which is cool.
Yeah, it feels like everyone is kind of together on the same set because of the fashion is all like this 1960s fashion. Yeah.
Right.
And yeah, if you enjoyed Parasite, then you have to watch this movie because this movie Parasite clearly builds on a lot of the themes and tensions of The Housemaid, and most importantly, I think the central kind of tension, this fear of your home being used against you, that's what The Housemaid is all about. The Housemaid tells you at the beginning what exactly is going to happen. This opening shot is the husband and wife reading the newspaper about a husband having an affair with the housemaid. And the wife talks about how silly husbands are, and then the husband is like, "Yeah, I kind of get it." The movie just goes from there. You know exactly what's going to happen, but you can't look away. I think that's kind of the genius of this movie. It has loads of foreshadowing. Like the beginning of the movie, this isn't a spoiler either, is that there is rat poisoning for this house that they're building. And you're able to know immediately that this is going to be a problem, but you're just not quite sure how. And I think that the how is what's so important in this film is that the you know it's going to go wrong, but what it does is it inverts these sort of social constraints that are supposed to be used to kind of keep society ordered. It uses social constraints against you and traps you into this horrible situation. And I think that's what feels so horrible and isolating about the film, even though it feels like there's not necessarily the same kind of like physical danger in a movie, maybe even like Psycho, where if there's a threat to like your physical danger, this idea that you can't go to the police or you can't go to your work because all of these things are built around certain social constraints. And to me, that's what I found really terrifying about it. Also, similarly with Parasite, the movie deals with class issues and class tensions. And so if you found that part about Parasite interesting, I think you'll find it interesting here. There's an inversion of social class as well that happens in the film that kind of sparks a lot of like you feel it's quite undignified for the characters, but it also makes you question like, well, why is it okay the initial way around too? Um, so I found that really interesting. Similarly, with Parasite, that you have that same like who exactly is the bad guy in Parasite, I think is very interesting.
Yeah, so I totally agree. And as well as sort of inverting class power structures, it also kind of inverts this sort of patriarchal power structure where the husband, who is clearly like the head of the family, is implied to be victimized by the housemaid. And she uses the institutions of like their mutual employer, at the factory,
Mm-hmm.
the police, and what their neighbors will think against him, and implies that, oh, they'll believe that he was attacking her instead of the other way around, which even if it's not necessarily very realistic that maybe she wouldn't actually be believed, it does work quite well
Yeah.
in being scary, which I think is something that's very impressive. And I think this is what, to me, really is so great about Parasite is how it does the same thing, but potentially from a more maybe realistic perspective,
Mm-hmm.
which is why it makes Parasite even scarier 50 years later.
Yeah. The default is that the camera is kind of this neutral storyteller and that the camera is kind of telling the truth, that you see scenes from different characters' angles, but the camera is telling the truth. I don't think that's really true. I think this movie is specifically the husband's point of view because it opens on him and then it closes on him. And so I think another way to view this movie is to view it as an unreliable narrator, that the husband is telling you his side of the story and it's like, oh, this crazy woman like came after me, and you have the actress gives a very heightened performance, and See, I think it's interesting to read that as just like that's the way that the husband is recalling the story rather than like the reality of the situation. Um, and so I think it's really interesting to watch from that perspective as well. So yeah, I would highly recommend this film. It's really good. There's a lot of tension. It's really exciting and thrilling. I think right now it's free on YouTube, so we'll post the link in the doobly doo below. And yeah, I think there's two other films in the series, so we're excited to watch those, and we'll let you know what we think of them after we see them. So anyway, thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
So this video isn't sponsored by anyone, but we want to give a shout out to the BFI. The British Film Institute has been a huge support for us. We've been able to see lots of classic films on the big screen because of that. I think especially we want to talk about the 25 and under program, where basically if you're 25 and under, you can see films there for £3. So all you have to do is sign up on their website.
It's a great place to see classic films. Movies that I've seen there include Singing in the Rain, 8½, and the classic Roma.
They also have a director series. You saw Edgar Wright there. I saw Jane Campion came to speak and watch Power of the Dog and give her perspective on it. So they get a lot of great speakers as well. Yeah, so just would highly recommend checking it out sometime.